Welcome to the web series on ambition. I am Adedoyin Adeleke. I work for Green Growth Africa, a non-governmental organization headquartered in Nigeria. In this web series, I'll be taking you through cascading education, taking a case study from Green Growth Africa, which is aimed to prepare you for the cascading of restitution phase of the ambition sustainable transition. In this module, we're hoping that you will understand the changing dynamics of skill industry outlook due to the sustainable transition and the imperative for capacity building for youth on sustainable transition. Before we start, we look at two questions. Have you thought of the implication of sustainable transition on the future of the labor market? Sustainable transition is very desirable indeed, but could it have some undesirable implication? How do you need to prepare to be able to mitigate these undesirable implications? The global efforts to rethink, reset, and recalibrate global development towards carbon neutrality has created new challenges in global development framework. There are new questions to which the world seeks answers, and the demand for new knowledge is on the increase. As a result, some existing sectors are gaining accelerated relevance, thus reshaping job distributions by sectors and scale relevance, particularly with technological changes being at the pivot of the just and sustainable transition. The high intensity of critical minerals in new technologies is increasing the relevance of the mining and semiconductor industry globally. Climate smart technologies are more mineral intensive than their conventional alternatives. The implications are crucial to both developing countries, where a great share of the global mineral deposits are domiciled, and developed nations, where new technologies such as electric vehicles are gaining increasing penetration. According to the International Energy Agency, a total of 14% of all new cars sold in 2014 were electric vehicles, and which is up from around 9% in 2021 and less than 5% in 2022. In 2022, more than $425 million was spent on electric cars, about 50% increase compared to its value in 2021. By 2030, based on existing policies, IEA projects that electric vehicles will account for the global fleet of vehicles. Keeping in mind that electric vehicles require 600% of critical minerals required by combustion engine vehicles, there is an accelerated increase in the demand for critical minerals and semiconductor industry. Similar analysis can be done for energy sector with increasing penetration of renewable energy technologies, especially for solar and wind, which are mineral intensive. We can also do a similar review for the oil and gas industry, which shows a completely different perspective. While the increasing demand for clean energy technologies accelerated by the global energy crisis is increasing, the dominance of the renewable energy and electric vehicle industries. The same dwindles the relevance of the oil sector. The global demand for oil is set for a decline based on the existing policies of government and market trends. Annual increase in the demand for oil is projected to decline from 2.4 million barrels per day in 2023 to only about 0.4 million barrels per day by 2028. The scenarios we have highlighted in the energy and automobile industry can also be analyzed for other sectors, such as agriculture and construction. However, the highlighted sectors typifies the changing dynamics of the global development. We put some skills in high demand, while other skills will be less required. Indeed, the current workforce would need reskilling, while organizations that desire to stay afloat while retooling, but perhaps more important is to prepare those who will lead the workforce of the future with the relevant skills for the future. As Demos Elsiki highlighted, we are already in the transition. The green skills required of employees right now do not significantly differ from their current profiles, according to the research that the institution conducted. But they also predicted that by the end of the decade, which is 2030, the labor needs of sustainability transition will be mostly. But by the end of the decade, which is 2030, the labor needs of sustainability transition will most likely be different if circular economy solutions proceed and the fossil-free industry products become mainstream. Moreover, the sustainability transition will increase the demand for high-skilled occupations and research skills, as the sustainability transition will rely heavily on development and application of new solutions. Those who will constitute the global industry by 2030, that is 7 years from now, are in the secondary schools today, while some are already undergoing the undergraduate degree programs already. Hence, the essential needs of cascading education, of the cascading phase of the ambition program, while you are being empowered as part of the workforce of today and surely a part of the future. We are also preparing the generation after yours to build a sustainable chain of actors who will be at the pivot of sustainable transition in the long term. In addition to the industry skill-based analysis, is the subject of intergenerational justice. The efforts for global transition are less about today and more about the future. Most of the decision makers and the workforce who are making decisions for the future workforce today will be off the stage by the time the world will witness the full impact of their decision. Hence, it is also essential. It is not only essential, but also just to empower those who will live in the future. To sum up, in this video, I have tried to help understand why we need to engage young people in cascading phase of the ambition program. I also show that the changing industry trends as the globe shifts to carbon neutrality will necessitate a shift in the skills requirement and thus the labor market. As such, we must get the future workforce. Most of whom are still in school today, to be ready for the future of work. Moreover, there is also the matter of intergenerational justice. Short activity. Looking into your field, your sector, how do you think the just and sustainable transition would impact your field or sector? We need to answer some questions as quiz and some hints for discussion. How does your sector contribute to sustainable transition? Number 2, what is your field in sustainable transition framework? Where is your field in the sustainable transition framework? What are the changes that needs to happen within your sector for your sector to contribute to sustainable transition? And lastly, what new skills will be needed and what are the skills that may not be relevant in the future within your field? I suggested resources that we recommend. We suggest that you look through for more in-depth insight into this subject. And this is the end of the module. Thank you.